Hi everyone, so are the tickets in your sprints running over from one sprint to another sprint? If they are, then we're going to go through in this video reasons why that might be the case and what you can do to resolve it. So I joined a team recently where the tickets were constantly running over. So we had a process where the sprint would start and we'd have tickets assigned in the sprint, and then by the end of the sprint, a lot of the tickets would not have been completed, and these would be rolled over to the next sprint and to the next sprint and so on until they were done. Now, on the face of it, you might be thinking, well, what's the problem with that? Well, there's quite a few problems with that. Firstly, it totally affects the team morale because there is no expectation of them to be finished within that month. So there's no sense of urgency. It's not a sprint. It's more of like a leisurely walk through the work. And obviously, if the sprints are not accurate, then you can't predict with any accuracy. And if you can't predict with any accuracy, then you're no longer able to provide a potential date for a piece of work to be finished. You're not able to plan on the roadmap because sprints just keep on going. So in this team I joined, this is what was taking place. I looked into it a bit more, tried to understand why it was happening and put things in place to make sure it didn't happen. So firstly, why was it happening? Okay, so the main reason was poorly defined tickets which were quite vague in the definition. We had a ticket template, but it wasn't being used properly, and so quite large-ish tickets as a result of them being quite vague. And as the sprint progressed, these tickets would be broken down further and understood further. And so as they were understood, obviously the scope of the ticket would increase. And so by the time you got to the end of the sprint, then you'd have a clear idea of the ticket, and you'd realize that actually this ticket is a lot bigger than I thought at the start of the sprint. So poorly designed tickets were an issue. There was also a lot of overcommitting going on in terms of the sprint planning, okay? Being able to try to shoehorn as much tickets in there as possible and as features in there as possible. You know, we can build this, we can do this, it'd be interesting to do this, let's put this in here. So that again led to sort of overpacking of the sprint. And then during the sprint itself, oftentimes something would come up and we'd have to deal with something, in a particular emergency, or something goes down, we have to deal with that as well. So that again there was no space for any contingency, and so that again led to the work that was actually put in at the start not being completed. So you have tickets which are in the sprint which might be picked up very slightly, as in only a part of it gets done, some of it gets done, and so on. And that causes, aside from just the fact that they're rolling over and reducing the team morale, stopping your ability to plan whatsoever, but it also means that if one ticket has a dependency on a different ticket, then there's issues there, and that causes further delays because that one ticket that has a dependency isn't being done and is waiting on a different ticket. And that ticket that is waiting on is put on hold because an emergency comes up, or that ticket that you're waiting on is actually a bigger ticket than we first realized. So that ticket with a dependency will actually never get done in that sprint anyway, and it's just in there for the ride. So what can you do to remedy this? First of all, planning is the key thing. You have to plan according to the needs of an ability and the capacity of your team. You also have to plan to ensure that you have a particular goal for the sprint, okay? So a prioritized goal for the sprint. And then finally, you got to look at those tickets and you got to make sure that they're broken down. And so, and breaking down the ticket helps the team understand the ticket. So you have a series of simplified tickets as a result of breaking it down, but that also means, as a secondary benefit of breaking down the ticket, the team understands what's needed to be done in each of those tickets, and as a result they can then say, actually, this is not going to be possible within the sprint, we can do this part of it only. That's fine, as long as you're being accurate with the amount of work that you're putting in the sprint. As a DM, you've got to be on top of dependencies, you've got to be on top of blockers. So one of the things that's going to stop, or one of the things that's going to cause sprints to roll over is dependencies, blockers. You've got to be on top of both of those. You've got to make sure that there's nothing stopping the team from progressing. And then you got to review the sprint constantly. You can't just be stand-ups can't just be a place where you just sort of look at what's going on, and you have all that good stuff, collaboration between team members and so on. But you've got to be able to look at the sprint and review the sprint. So what I did was use one of the stand-ups, slightly lengthen it, and use it to go and run through each of the tickets that we're working on, each of the tickets we've got left, just to understand capacity, just understand where we are, just understand if anything unexpected had come up, and just remove tickets if needs be. Just look, this is not going to happen in the sprint. Let's pull out the sprint. Let's just make sure we finish the sprint with the work done. And that helped massively in terms of ensuring that my sprints didn't overrun, and also that planning was just so much more thorough than it had been previously, and that just meant that the team morale improved because they knew we've got a particular sprint goal, we're going to work towards this as a team, and we're going to finish it at this time. So, and as part of that, use retros. Okay, you'll use retros to understand how the team are working in that sprint. Is there anything else that could be done in order to refine that process? It's your responsibility as a DM to just understand the situation better, so that those sprints are running how they should be running. Okay, so that's what I did in order to make my sprints better. I'd be interested to hear what viewers have been doing in terms of their sprints, and if they've encountered similar problems or similar solutions. Add a comment below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely press subscribe, press like, and watch out for new videos. All right, catch you all later.